Hello to everyone. Those who are in continuation of a computer networking system, we're in the session number 12, which is an extreme flag end of a unit 1. I just want to summarize overall what we have done so far in interacting with the computer network. We started somewhere the basic structure of a computing system and what are the various transmission lines are there, the media lines are there, and how these transmission lines to be carried out, further enhancing the facilitations to a number of another fractions of connecting a system. What are the different computing systems that are enabled to use? What are the various satellites communication system we need to engage for transmission, and how these satellite communication system will propagate through a radio waves or the wave propagation, and what are the different line segments like a trunk lines and the another line of structures, and how the service providers will benefit you in understanding the various factors of it. So in continuation of discussing the all these fundamental understanding of a computing requirement, we move on to one more very interesting chapter, especially in computer networks. And this bit is one of the very simple concept of computing network. As I said, what is the carrier frequency, and how these frequencies that we can differentiate between various phase of alteration to a still the implementation phase of it. So when we say that carrier frequencies are the frequencies which carries a certain amount of a data by protecting with the guard channels, and these frequencies in other term will enable you to understand how these a fraction of seconds will how these a fraction of frequencies will make the impact on communication line, and how these a fraction of lines will enable us to deal with a different prospective way of handling our computing as a primary concern of it. And one of the important concept in a computer network is an understanding of a multiplexing. What do you mean by the multiplexing? How these multiplexing can be used in a practically for a different requirement of it. And of course, in another important term which is a part of our computing term is we need to know the fundamental, the basic definitions of baseband and the broadband. This is again one of the important discussion, and this is the smallest part of a discussion, because here we're going to wind up not as big detailed about it, because these concepts when we start implementing, and these concepts when we start implementing in a practical part of it, we have a many important issues to be discussed before we have to implement in computing world. Because most of the carrier frequencies, if you want to understand, you cannot understand only with the practical terms of it. You need to know how fundamentally concept, how fundamentally the theory behind these carrier frequencies, and what makes these carrier frequencies to be the so strong in a transmitting line of controls are concerned. That's what the people will go in depth of understanding these carrier frequency by modulating with a different concept like a Fourier series. They'll use it, or they use a different software to analyze these things, and there is a different equipments that can be used to understand how these carrier frequencies will really functions. Well, I said this is one of the important part of the world of electronic system, and especially in compared to an academic essential requirement is concerned. In engineering, in many engineering courses, the students will take up this as one of the important domain chapters for studying in detail about the carrier frequencies, and even they have some set of experiments about how these carrier frequencies can be modulate modulate or fix with some time constant to check what is exactly these carrier frequencies will be carried out in a practical aspects. Now, another important thing is a multiplexing, where I said that many important elementary components, many important elementary data to be multiplexed in one coherent line of transactions. And these multiplexing will affect on a data transmission. This is called the baseband. So here we're going to deal with what are the various issues which are purely we need to focus on the multiplexing mechanism. It is just a fundamental basic science we call as a physics science of multiplexing. And of course, in practically what happens nowadays, that that concept of a physics become a very common, and we are using multiplexing for many other application areas. So even in computer terms, we use as a multiplexing for mixing various other media systems and pass into one way or coherently, so that it can reduce the time space for individual transmission. Okay, multiplexing units are a digitally synchronized process, right? And a broadband is one of the important term here. We need to know how these broadband will directly or indirectly will help you to understand. It's another concept of it. Now, what is a multiplexing? We begin with the multiplexing. As I said, this is the simplest way to understand. If you have a n number of an inputs, here we talk about n number of inputs in the sense n element number of inputs. You can feed into a multiplexer units, or you can connect as a multiplexer units. These units will merge, or these units will pack into a packets and transmit with a single line. There is a single link line with n number of channels. And if you want to get an exact amount of transmitted data from the multiplexing unit to again an output come back to a same original sort of a data, then you have to demultiplex again. So the process of multiplexing and the demultiplexing, like it is a similar to a modulation and the demodulation. There we use a different carrier frequency to be modulated in practically. So those modulated signal can be transmitted over an analog line and again be demodulated to get back to original place of data. But here it is a similar structural process where we used to feed an n number of inputs data, and these data to be multiplexed, and these multiplexed data to be transmitted over a link line to get an exact outcome. And you have to demultiplex once again, so that you can understand what is the data you have been transmitted and how these data to be useful in reading out the data which you have sent, right? So basic definition you need to understand is multiplexing is a process of synchronization of various n data fed input lines to transmit on the single channel, where to read out that data we need to have demultiplexing units in the standard terminals, right? That is, again, it produces a n number of an outputs, right? So we keep on discussing over the frequency division multiplexing. FDM is one of the important terminal process we can call as a conceptual process in which frequency can be concentrated and frequency can be availed in how these frequency can be focused for channelizing into one single token of passage. We can use a one single channel. So here the useful bandwidth of medium exceeds the required bandwidth of a channel. In that case, a frequency can be divided among another number of channels, where that we can accommodate more amount of input feeds. Here each signal is modulated to a different carrier frequency, so that if it is a larger amount of data, then it will take an accommodative of a large amount of channels. If it is a smaller, then we can focus on the smaller way of it, right? So in that each carrier frequency separated to signals, it did not overlap as a guard bands. And a simple example here is a broadcast radio. We use a frequency division multiplexing that will enable in terms of difference frequency to be carried out in a standardization of transmission. Now the channel allocated even if no data. What does it mean? So this means that you are dedicating and you are wasting, it becomes an idle. But in frequency division, it is necessary to allocate a frequency even if you are whether to transmit or not to transmit, that particular frequency is playing an important role to take a responsibility or accountability for transmitting the data. Even if the data is not, this means that frequency is ready to capture what you are trying to send. This means it's like a similar to a dedicated line, right? Okay, we move on to another important discussion over here is frequency division multiplexing. This I showed that this particular box is like a slices of n number of channels, where the each channels has a frequency component which is being carried out with respect to a time. So it is just like a number of books. You store it in an array of a track, and each book consists of certain knowledge information. So in similarly, what happens here is each frequency division multiplexing has a channelization from 1 to n channels. This is called a 1 to n number of channels. And these frequencies will has, even if you are using a channel 1 and if you're not using a channel 2, but the still channel 2 is accommodative frequency is reserved, where you can use it or not use it. So if you are using it, it is engaged. If you are not using it, it becomes an idle. This is how frequency division multiplexing will work. Now I'll want to show you how the FDM system will work. So I'll just try to maximize it, this particular graph here. As we know that there is a subcarrier modulator which we use as an F1, and each system which is a magnitude in terms of an F1, where the subcarrier modulator of F2, F3 and so on with respect to time, which is being passed into one accumulator. We can use the ACM circuits or accumulated circuits, which is a composite, we call as a composite band or modulating signal to be transmitted by all these summation of circuits. And here this particular summation of circuits we call as a accumulator, and this accumulator get connected to a transmitter, and this transmitter passes to higher signal modeling sequences we call as an HSM, or a high band signal modeling to SF. And transmitted wave looks like this as a channel of spectrum, a composite baseband of how this multiplexing will work. See, this is your baseband where it is having a F1, F2, F3 up to Fn number of a channel of frequencies being reserved here. B1 baseband 1 for frequency 1, baseband 2 of a frequency 2, baseband 3 of frequency the 3, and so on. So if it is n number of frequencies to be accommodated the n number of channels, which has been a simple illustrative diagram for the spectrum of composite baseband, which is modulating signal. Now if you take a signal mean receiver, how exactly it looks like. Here the composite baseband will be transmitted on the band pass filter, and this band pass filter has the demodulator of F1, F2 and the F3. So this is a circuit, is an imperative circuits in which that various this thing are. Now the FDM of 3 wideband signals. So this is an illustrative which is been extracted through a CRO, cathode ray oscilloscope. So if you transmit these signals in the range of say 300 to 4000 hertz of frequencies, so when you are transmitting a particular channel, if you take and transmit some amount of frequency to it, it looks like this is a data which is being the amplitude modulated in the form of a transmission line. So this spectrum of positive amplifier will be look like this, and there is another spectrum which is being banded over there. So that is been which we uses for a transmitting line. So this is a simple illustrative example of how these FDM 3 wideband signals will work and functions, and this is just an illustrative purpose. If you want to know exactly how these carrier frequency of n number of channels will be given as an input, you need to experiment on the broadband. You need to experiment on a breadboard. In electronic system, there is a breadboard where you can get communicated to a CRO. There is an electronic circuits which you need to connect by using different fractions of connecting circuits, and that circuits will enable you to understand how these frequency are transmitting over a period of time. So okay, here you need to calculate with respect to time per second, means a frequency per second, right? So in regard to that, analog carrier systems, So first analog carrier systems are designed by AT&T. Now the still this particular research labs we call as AT&T and Bell Labs. So now AT&T becomes a Bell Labs, and the Bell Labs and AT&T both work associatively on various designing of electronic circuits. And these electronic circuits, in other term, will let you know how the things will work, different pattern of data transmission in the realistic approach. Now, what is the hierarchy of a FDM schemes? If you look into it, there is a 12 group of voice channels. We can call the 4 hertz of each. That is a 48 kilohertz, and the range is always starts from 60 kilohertz to 108 kilohertz. So that is a primary concern of it. And if you look into the supergroup of a channels where the 60 channels are associated, and these 60 channels will directly impact on your transmission line, and a FDM of 5 group of signals on a carrier is a 420 kilohertz and the 612 kilohertz. Now what is a master group in this is a frequency division clubbing system. Now, in a wavelength division multiplexing, if you look into it, frequency can always measure of an amplitude in terms of a wavelength. Many of you know physical basic definitions of how the wavelength can be calculated. Now here, what is the concept of wavelength division multiplexing? In a wavelength division multiplexing, there are the different phenomenal structures. And these phenomenal structures are randomly used when it is being dedicated to understand on a randomization basis or the sequential basis or maybe a synchronous mode of transmission. So the amount of carrier frequency which is carried by a particular with respect to a time, how much time it has taken by reaching to a peak of its frequency. So that is a wavelength division multiplexing, and multiple beams of light at a different frequency can be calculated, and each carrier by an optical fiber. So where we use an optical fiber as a transmission line, and each form of frequency division multiplexing is an important parameter, and it plays an important pivotal role in identifying the different division multiplexing, right? In a 1997, Bell Labs has come into 1,000 beams of line transmission, and each at 10 Gbps of line, giving one particular terabit of a per second. We call it a TBPS, and commercial system of 160 channels of 160 Gbps now available in a noted time of data sequences. Now what happens here is how the WDM operations will functions. It's a very simple. When the same general architectures of another frequency plays an important role, here the number of sources generating laser beams at a different frequencies to be accommodated in an n number of channels. And multiplexer consolidate the source for transmission over a single fiber, and these fiber in other way will directly impact on your transmission line. And optical amplifier amplify all the wavelengths. So here I don't want to discuss further about these things because it takes a lot of time in how these demultiplexing will work. So mostly 1.5 nanometer wavelength range is a dedicated standard parameter, and it was somewhere around 200 megahertz per channel is an associative of it. Now we'll move on to our next important discussion over here is dense wavelength division multiplex. What is a dense? Dense in the sense constructively it is a mix of many wavelengths, or it is nothing but a many number of frequencies are created a mess, or means it creates a more number of channel of transmission. So dense in the sense more amount of transmitted carrier frequencies can be clubbed together, it becomes a dense. Now what is the importance of dense wavelength division multiplexing? In case if you are transmitting over a n number of channels, and all the n number of channels are you are using it, then you have to identify how each division of n channels plays a role in accommodating and the standardizing into execution of outcomes. So we use the primary and the secondary device circuits to know what are the standard parameters that to be listed for transmission. And here we use a more amount of a number of channels in the allocated frequency. And generally 200 gigahertz or less can be used in the DES wavelength. If beyond that, we use a standard satellite communication, as many of you we know that. So synchronous time division multiplexing, one of the important multiplexing technique in here is data rate of medium exceeds a data rate of digital signal to be transmitted, and multiple digital signals increased in each time when it comes to a transmission is there. So before we proceed for this, I just want to give a few light on synchronous time division. It always works with two aspects. One is they call as an when before you transmit any of the signals, you have to understand what is a range of frequency that is available before you transmit. So this means that the where you are hosting and the transmission has the same amount of frequency to a transmission line. So that is called the synchronous time division multiplex. If it is not synchronous, then first you have to organize a circuit in such a way that the asynchronous mode of transmission can be synchronized and later put into a transmitter. So this is a second level of transmission. But in a synchronous where you are directly transmitting, associating with another person frequency which is matching onto this, right? Here also we need to allocate the slots even if the data is there or not there. It is similar to a link line process. Now next is this is a same similar to what time that I have earlier slide as I showed you. It's a similar to how the n number of the channels with respect to time and frequency of time division multiplexing. And TDM system, how exactly it is similar to FDM, where I don't want to explain you in detail about how these things will functions, because most of the time what happens here is if you look into this circuit, we use a buffer registers. In earlier we use transmission lines directly on the frequency, but here we use a buffer because it is a more dense. When the more availability of a data to be accommodated, it is a simple to accommodate. If the data is a very dense, first you need to classify them by using a buffer. So this is a scan operations where frequency whether to accommodate to or not to accommodate, we use a scan operation to transmit. This is a one of the important circuitry explanation about how the TDM frames will work and what are the transmitter operations. So this is a you need to concentrate on three important circuitry options. One is a transmitter, how it is been accommodative. It is a simple electronic digital representation, digital circuit representation. But when you want to do a practically, there is another important circuits that is need to be employed, that is need to be deployed in the lab experiments. And these are TDM frames where 1 to n number of channels, and each frame consists of time slot may be empty or occupied. It depends on the data availability and data transmission, right? So this is a simple structure of TDM frame. What is a frame? Frame is nothing but an accommodative or the structure of data that is fixed to transmit over a carrier frequency with respect to a time is called a frame. A frame may be a frame is not varied. Frame is not varied, but the data may be varied. But there is a fixed frames, right? So in the TDM frames, this is a receiver. Okay, this is a simple way of explanation that I just want to try to give you. Next is if you move on to a 14th, this is a TDM link controls. What is a TDM link controls? No headers and the trailers to be associated with this, means that it is an isolated data transmission on the signal frequency. And the data link control protocols are not needed as it is directly connected to a line. Here there are no terms of policies as such. So this means that there are no data link control protocols are needed for the transmission is concerned. But of course, a flow control is required. That's what they say. Data rate of multiplexer line is fixed. If one channel receiver cannot receive the data, the other must carry on. This means that it becomes an idle. Say for example, N1 frequency of a particular channel is carrying a data where N2 becomes an idle, but still N1 should not wait to carry this. N2 becomes an idle, N1 is engaged. Right? The corresponding sources must be quenched. The leaves empty slots. This leaves in empty slots. So next time another line may become same empty. But here we need to record as an error control. Errors are detected and handled by individual channel systems. This is called an error control. And this is a simple representation of how the data link control on time division multiplexers will work. It is a simple representation of input and output lines, and what are the input lines with respect to an output lines with time, right? So framing, one of the important concept in a framing. What does mean by framing? As I said, frames are nothing but pictorial packs of different data structured into channels. Or it is all the isolated data can be packed into one single frame. So that is called the framing. Here no flag are the sync characters bracketing the TDM frames, and it provide a synchronous mechanism added to a digit framing, and one control to be added to each frame looks like another channel is called the control channels. So identification bit pattern used on a control channels to be sequenced, and each alternating numbers to be allocated, and it can compare incoming bit pattern on each channel where the framing can be accommodated on the frequency channels, right? So the pulse stuffing, another important concept. Stuff means accommodate. Stuff means insert. Here pulses to be stuffed in available channels. The problem is synchronizing data sources, because no channelization of frequency we can able to afford be an idle. Here if it is an idle, means we are wasting it. So our main concern should be you have to randomly used and identify the how many number of idle channels are there and use stuff wherever it is available. That is called the pulse stuffing, right? So problem is synchronizing the data sources and the clocks in a different sources to be drifted. So drifting in the sense lifting. In this case, the drifting means it is a lifting wherever the possible idles are there, you can able to accommodate here. And data rates from a different sources not related by simple rational number can be accommodated in a standard way. So there are many more solutions on the pulse stuffing, like outgoing data rate excluding framing bits higher than sum of incoming rates can be measured. Stuff extra dummy bits are the pulses into an each incoming signal until it matches the local clock, because as I said, it is a synchronous, it has to be matched with the local clock. If it is not synchronous, fine, you need not wait for a clock matching. But as it is time division and the frequency division both are asynchronous, it is necessary to associate how the watch, how the clocks must be matched, right? We will move on to a next important slide, that is a TDM of analog and digital sources. It is a simple representation. So if you look into magnify these circuits, there is a particular from source 1 where the 2 gigahertz analog signals are transmitted in the frequency of channels of it, and from another source where the 4 gigahertz analog is coming in. So now here what happens here is, when the from source 1 it is a 2 gigahertz, 2 kilohertz, from another source it is a 4 kilohertz, from the source 3 it is a 2 kilohertz. When you combine all these things, it becomes a 8 kilohertz. So the frequency here is, now what happens here is, look into this, all these accumulated, there is a 16 kilo samples can be divided by 8. This means a 4 kilohertz of a frequency can be transmitted. This means that 4-bit analog to digital converter will pass on to the circuit. To now here from the source 4 there is a fraction of 7.2 kbps. So here we are going to pulse stuffing onto scan operation, so that it is like a heterogeneous mix of it. So this is a simple circuit. We need to understand how these things will work. So we move on to digital carrier system. These are the hierarchy of TDM, and USA, Canada, Japan uses one such system of the digital carrier system, and ITU, International Telecom Union, or the telecom companies have a union, they uses a similar but a different system, and US system based on DS1 format, and the multiplexers uses a 24 channels. This is a standard. So each frame has a 8 bits per channel plus one framing bit is called the parity bit, and in an 193 bits per frame is to be carried in the real time, right? So we move on to the next important discussion is a digital carrier system. This carrier system has a voice. Each channel contains one word of digitalized data. So 8,000 samples. So data, if you look into this, what happens here is data rate is 8,000 into 193 unit of a cycle. So this means that, as I said, it produces 1.544 Mbps of data to be transmitted over a frequency division. 5 out of 6 frames have 8-bit PCM samples, and the sixth frame is a 7-bit PCM. It would signaling a bit for 1 extra bit, and signaling bits from stream for each channel containing a control and routing information will be maintained in one channelization. So same format for a digital data. If you focus, there is a 23 channels of data which we uses of a 7-bit, and 24 channel is synced into our requirement stuffing, right? Okay, we move on to a next important discussion over here. Before that, I just want to conclude how these frequency will matter into realistic approach in designing these standards as per your transmission line of concern. Overall, what we are going to learn is these transmission using a multiplexer plays an important role, and without these multiplexer we cannot handle multiple dense data for this. Okay, I just want to conclude here. We will see in the next session. By that time, have a good time and keep reading and keep watching important videos for your important techniques are concerned. Thank you very much.